Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming. You know, I know this is smack in the middle of your day, work day, school day, and you may be all over the place. So I really appreciate you making the time to come here, and thanks so much for the invite.
Yeah, definitely.
Anytime I get a chance to interrupt my day and change it to some yoga clothes and stretch a little bit, I'm grateful. So again, my name is Chiasson-Downs. I'm a clinical therapist at Chestnut Ridge. I've been there for about 8 years. I got my undergrad from the psychology department here at WVU in 2002, and then my counseling degree in 2004. I was telling her I worked at a couple of inpatient rehabilitation programs for several years, lived out of state for a couple of years, but I just missed West Virginia. I think I didn't realize how much West Virginia was a home for me until I left it. So then I came back. My husband and I came back in 2010, and I've been here ever since. Nice. So I work in the outpatient department. I work primarily with the addiction population, and then just general, depression, anxiety, PTSD, stuff like that. And then for me personally, I started getting involved in yoga about 2013. I had been to a class previously in like an old dusty YMCA gym. And I remember that at the beginning of the class, the teacher put us into Shavasana for about 5 minutes, which is just a corpse resting pose. And I thought, oh my God, I'm the first person who's going to have a heart attack or have an anxiety attack at a yoga class. It was just really difficult for me. And I realized because it was difficult, I really needed to do it more and more. So I got invested into yoga in my personal life and just really found that it made a difference for me and my anxiety and just general well-being. And again, I could also see so many connections with yoga and the recovery program. Just folks working with addictions and learning how to be comfortable with themselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, and how much yoga can help with that. And so I'm super grateful to the behavioral medicine department because they allowed me to then go get to be trained to be a certified yoga instructor. He financially supported me doing that and then bringing it into the clinic and therapy. So I'm very grateful to them. And so I use it on an individual basis, and then more specifically, one of the medication-assisted treatment clinics that I run for our COAT program, which is the Comprehensive Opioid Addiction Treatment Program, I bring the yoga component into it. And so I love it. So, what we'll be doing today will be kind of a lot of the typical breathing patterns and movements that I do with patients, but then also love to share with my coworkers. We as clinicians need the same self-care that we're teaching our patients. But I don't know about you guys, I'm not always good at doing that, right? I'm always good at taking care of all these responsibilities, and I'll try to remember to get my self-care, but I would always preach to my patients, you gotta take care of yourself first. So that's my goal today. Mary, tell me about any yoga experience you have.
I have attended one yoga class 20 years ago, and that was it.
So awesome. That's great. I love it. I'm excited. Cool. Any thoughts, when we touched base about me coming in for this? Any thoughts today on what you're kind of hearing?
I think it sounds great. I think it's an area of clinical practice we don't always emphasize, but it's a nice, it's a really nice way to integrate some other holistic, kind of self-care strategies into treatment. So I'm really curious and excited to learn more. So
I'm grateful for your being here today. Taylor, same question. Any yoga experience for you, and what are your thoughts on being here today?
I'm super excited to be here. I think that this is something that I would like to incorporate into my practice in the future as well, or just like being a part of a community where I can refer people to that. And during the next 2 years, I'm looking to get on a better routine with myself because I know how good it makes me feel, but I'm the same way of like, I have all these responsibilities and all these things to do. Like, forget that, I don't have time to do it right now, but I know if I stick to that kind of steadiness, that I feel really good. And off and on for maybe the past 3 years, ever since massage therapy school is kind of when I really got started, and I was feeling like the best ever then. And then I'll do some community classes at Bliss, and then I do stuff at the rec center as well.
Cool. Well, I'm super grateful for you this. It's maybe not a coincidence that you're showing up with a sprained ankle because it really emphasizes the point that yoga is literally for everybody. Anybody with any age, size, shape, health condition can show up on the mat and we can tailor things to make it work for them. And ultimately what that is about is making sure that you're putting the, I'm going to end up using the word patient a lot just because that's the, but I know we use client interchangeably. You know, the patient gets to be in charge of their body and they get to tell you what they're capable of in the moment. And we want to listen to that and honor that and just make suggestions here and there. So as we're going through the practice today, you know, you listen to you most, and you know, maybe it'll be for you about kind of finding a grounding pose that feels most doable to you. So if we're kind of up, around, and moving, then you return to the pose that feels best for you.
Okay.
Sense? Cool. Okay. We'll get started. So generally with folks, I always like to, today's sort of the theme of today's class are going to be about grounding and balancing, finding out ways that we can emotionally and physically ground down into the moment, and then also working on balance throughout. So when I do that, I always go through 3 grounding poses with folks and give them a chance to sit in each pose for a couple seconds to see which one feels best for them. And then that's how we're going to start today's practice. So I'll show all 3 of those to you. Some you'll be able to do with the ankle and the skirt, and some you won't. That's okay. Okay. So first grounding pose is just what we're sort of in, which is easy seated position. That might be rough on your ankle. So if you just want to keep those out straight, most importantly, we just want to make sure we're sitting up with a straight spine. So pros and cons of this being a grounding pose. You know, the pro is that we are literally rooted into the mat below us. So the, you know, our base is rooted into the earth below us. This is also a pretty easy pose in terms of the comfortable, familiar pose. I've been putting this since I was a child. So for some folks, especially if you're working with people just getting into yoga, this is going to be comfortable for them because it's familiar to them. A con to the pose is if you're like me and you got old lady runner knees, this isn't always the most comfortable. Or if you're maybe somebody that doesn't really have the best posture, this can actually sort of cause people to not be able to relax because they're just sort of conscious of having constraint. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes here for a second. Just take a couple of breaths, easy, relaxed breaths, to see how this pose feels to you. See how, most importantly, how grounding this pose feels. So this is the first grounding pose, just easy seated position. From here, you'll probably have to watch this. We're just going to come down into child's pose. So in child's pose, our knees are to the outside edges of our mat. Toes are touching behind us. And we're going to slowly lower our heart all the way down to the mat, stretching those arms out in front of us. And you're going to rest your forehead onto the mat. So take a couple seconds here. Pros to this pose are, the hope is that it's relaxing. The hope is that you're sort of grounding your body down. You're relaxing your body into the mat below you. For some people, if they're having a hard time disconnecting from all the stress that's going out in their environment, with here, you just have this little space in between your face and the mat, and that kind of encloses things in a little bit. For some people, in a positive way, because it helps slow that stress that's gone out in your environment and just reconnects you with your breath to the mat. If you're breathing, you can feel that breath coming to you from the mat. So it's just a great way to kind of check in with that. Cons to this pose are, if you have tight hips, this isn't always an enjoyable pose. And also, for some people, I've noticed if you have any kind of claustrophobia, because your face is so close to the mat, that can wake that up a little bit. Just again, same thing, just take a couple breaths here, see how it feels. And then the last grounding pose will come to, and at that point, you guys can choose which one you want to stay to. We're going to come all the way down to our backs. We're going to bring the soles of our feet together, knees out to the side, or you can bring those knees together in the middle of the mat and just bring those feet to the outside edges of the mat. From here, you'll bring one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. And this is called Supta Baddha Konasana. So pros to this pose are you literally get to release all your muscles, all your body into the mat below you. Relax everything. If you're somebody that finds sleep relaxing, you're going to reconnect with that relaxation here. And another pro is if you've got one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, it's going to really help you bring some awareness to your breath pattern here. A con to this pose are, depending on what your knees and hips feel like, sometimes this can bring more pain and more relaxation. Also in this pose, your heart is exposed. Your heart is open to the sky in front of you. And that doesn't always bring people comfort. Some people that actually brings a little bit of an automatic anxiety. So again, a couple breaths. See how it feels. So we've tried 3 grounding poses. I'm going to invite you guys to start out today's class in whichever one of those poses that felt best to you, that felt most grounding to you. You can be staying in this one, maybe popping back up to child's pose, or popping back up to easy seated pose. Beautiful. And so from here, in the beginning of our class, we're just going to come into some breath work. So for here, I just want you to pay attention to your breath. At first, you don't have to change anything just yet. You don't have to move anything. I just want you to bring that awareness to your breath and see how it feels. Are you taking shallow breaths? Are you taking deep breaths? And now I'll invite you to start deepening your breaths if you haven't already yet. And if you can, you'll inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose as well. On an inhale, I want you to think about sending that breath directly to your belly. You'll notice the rise of your belly or the expansion of your belly. And then on an exhale, you'll let all that air go. On an inhale, think about breathing in healing energy, healing light to your body. And on your exhale, think about letting go of any tension you've carried around today. On your next inhale, breathe in like you did before, filling your belly with your breath. And if you can, breathe in just a little bit more so the air now enters your lower chest. You may notice your rib cage expand. And then exhale first from the lower chest and then the belly. On your inhales, think about breathing in healing energy, healing light. And on your exhales, think about letting go of any tension you carry around today. And your next inhale, breathe in like you did before, filling your belly with your breath, and then your lower chest. If you can, breathe in just a little bit more so the air now enters your upper chest. So you may notice your collarbones expanding, backs of your shoulders spreading out. You'll then exhale first from the upper chest, then the lower chest. On your inhales, think about breathing in healing energy, healing light. And on your exhales, think about letting go of any tension you carry around. So in a typical yoga class, we like to talk about setting intentions. So an intention could be anything that you want to keep at the forefront of your practice today. For some people, maybe it's a physical goal they want to work on. For some people, maybe it's an emotional mantra that they want to keep in mind. For some folks, it may just be about staying present on your mat and staying present with you. So think about what intention is best for you today. And we'll set our intention together with a nice long inhale. This time, exhale out your mouth. Do that again because that's my favorite sound. Take a nice inhale in. And exhale out your mouth. Beautiful. So we're actually going to come down onto our backs. So Miss Mary, since you're already there, you get to stay there. And Taylor and I will meet you down. So releasing all the way down to the mat below us, we're going to give ourselves a nice full body stretch. So we're going to stretch those arms straight out above us, our toes out in front of us like we're waking up on a lazy Sunday. You're going to draw those knees into your chest. I want you to think about just making small circles with your lower back on the mat. So you'll take those knees out to the side, then the other. You're just giving yourself a nice little massage on your lower back here. Maybe the massage therapist in the room can tell me if this actually is helpful or not. But for me, I know it feels relaxing. If you haven't already switched directions, you can do that now. And from here, we're going to extend that left leg out on the mat, straight out in front of us, engaging that heel into the mat. We're going to take this right knee and draw that into our chest. Give it a little hug. And then from here, you're going to draw that right knee across your chest. Now, you've got options here. You can try to keep that right hip engaged with the mat, which means you're just not going to get that right leg far over, which is okay. You can also roll over onto that left hip and draw that right knee across even more. This is really just a personal preference. Great practice for patients and clinicians about what's best for you, what your body is telling you that it needs right now. Inhale back to center. We'll draw that right leg straight up. It may not get straight all the way, and that's okay. Keeping a bend in your knee here is not a bad idea. You're going to roll that ankle out a couple times in each direction. On your next inhale, we're going to draw that forehead up so it's coming up towards our knee. May never get there, and that's absolutely okay. Those shoulders are off the mat. I want you to shake your neck out a couple times in each direction. It's going to help you know that you're not using your neck muscle here, but you're using those core muscles to hold it. One more inhale here. And exhale, release your shoulders back to the mat. You can give that right knee a little hug. And then we'll release that to the mat in front of us. So we're going to straighten that right leg out, engaging that right heel to the mat. We're going to draw this left knee into our chest. Give a little hug. Take that across our body towards the right. Options for whatever twist feels better to you today. And breathe. Inhale back to center. We're going to straighten that left leg out in front of us. You can grab the back of your thighs with your fingers. Same thing on an inhale. We're going to draw that forehead up towards our knee. Give our head a little nose shake. Release those neck muscles. One more inhale here. And exhale those shoulders back to the mat. Give that knee a little hug. From here, we'll drop both knees into our chest. Grab the backs of those legs and rock up a couple times till we find ourselves in seated position. So we're returning to that grounding pose. Think for you about, if you want to sort of connect this to your day, what is it that brings you comfort? What brings you a grounded feeling? Is there also something that maybe you need to bring some grounded moments today? Perfect. So this is one of Mary showing us a great variation. If you've got somebody who is maybe not comfortable in easy seated position or just not able to in the moment, sitting straight out is great, just as long as you're sitting up straight. Sometimes you can have them come up to a wall too, or a chair to help them with that. So from easy seated position, or if your legs are straight out, we're just going to rest those hands either on the tops of your thighs or your knees, whatever's good for you. We're going to inhale our chest open to the front of the room. And you can bring your gaze to the front, or if it feels okay with your neck, you can draw it a little up to the ceiling. On an exhale, we're going to round out our shoulders and spine and draw the navel. Inhale, open up that chest. Be kind to yourself. You're exposing your heart here, and that can bring some anxiety. Exhale, draw it. Inhale, open up. Exhale, curl inward and bring that navel. Inhale, open up that chest to the front of them. Exhale, curl inward. Inhale, open up one more time. And we'll just exhale back to center. We're going to take those right fingertips, and take those out to the side. We're going to draw this left arm up and over top of our head, so it's coming onto the tops of our right ear. Now instead of, I don't want you to necessarily jerk your head down to your left shoulder, but I want you to think about using those fingertips to just gently guide your left ear down towards your left shoulder. You've got options here. You can keep your gaze at the front of the room. You want to bring it up to the ceiling only if that feels good to your neck. And then think here about reconnecting with that slow, even breath from the floor. This can be sort of an odd pose, and sometimes we equate odd with what's uncomfortable, and that's when we start to pull over. One more inhale here. And then exhale, we'll slowly release that left hand and bring our head to straight. Beautiful. Keep those left fingertips out on our left side. We're going to inhale that right arm up and over. Resting those fingertips on top of that left ear, we'll gently guide our head down towards our right shoulder. May never get there, and that's absolutely okay. Nice inhale here. Exhale, slowly release that hand, bring that neck back up to straight. Beautiful job, guys. I can hear you breathing. It sounds good. From here, we're going to inhale both those arms to meet up above us. On an exhale, we're going to gently twist to the right. So those right fingertips are going to come behind us, left fingertips in front of us. Everybody's got a different twisting power today, and that's okay. You want to most importantly listen to your body and see what feels good. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twisting over to the left. Inhale back to center. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale over to the left. Inhale one more time over to the center. And from here, we're going to release those hands and just crawl those fingertips forward. We're going to give ourselves a nice lip stretch. That's a wonderful variation. Just keep those legs straight out in front of you. Inhale back up to center. For Taylor and I, we're actually going to uncross our legs and cross them the opposite way. So to make sure we're getting the same stretch on both hips, we'll inhale those arms up. And exhale as you come forward. This is always a good lesson for folks. This stretch can feel different based on how where your legs are crossed, because it's just a different hip stretch. And so both the sides of my body are not the same, and that's 100% okay. It's great awareness to help me be kind of kind to my body. My left hip is about 15 years older than my right hip. That's okay. Inhale back up. We're just going to come forward into child's pose. So again, bringing those knees to the outside edges of our mat. Toes touching behind us. We'll slowly lower our hearts down all the way to the mat. Staying in extended seated pose is great here too. So I want you to take 3 long, deep breaths. You're not paying attention to anybody else's breath work, anybody else's mat work. It's just reconnecting with that slow, even breath from before. And when you've done that, you can come back up and meet me in tabletop. But there's no rush. I don't know if this is how this would feel for you. No pressure. Yep. There's no rush. But when you're ready, you come back up to tabletop. So in tabletop, our wrists are directly below our shoulders, about shoulder distance apart. Knees are below our hips, about hip distance apart. We have a nice neutral spine here. I want you to sort of check in with yourself, check in with your body about how your balance feels. Feel like you're putting the same pressure into each hands, into each knees. Are there any adjustments you feel like you need to take here to feel a bit more balanced in this pose? On an inhale, we'll drop that belly and bring your gaze forward to the front of the room for some cat-cows. Exhale, round out the shoulders and spine. Inhale, drop the belly, bring your gaze forward. Exhale, round out the shoulders and spine, really draw that navel in. Inhale, drop your belly. Exhale, curl inward. Inhale, drop that belly one more time. And we'll release back to tabletop. Beautiful job. On an inhale, we're going to bring that right arm straight out beside us, palm facing the floor. And then on an exhale, we're going to thread that underneath our left arm. you've got options here. You can stay up here in the thread. You can bring that right ear and right shoulder all the way down to the mat. If that feels like a good twist for you, you can also always come up on those left fingertips. It's going to give you, so you're going to tend those left fingertips up. It's going to give you even a little bit more of a twist here. And then you can also kickstand those left toes out to the side. Again, this is one of those. You're going to pay attention to what feels good for your body today. Not just what you're capable of, but what it needs from you today. Slowly unwind and come back up to tabletop. Beautiful job. Same thing on the other side. So we're going to inhale that left arm out beside us, palm facing the floor. On an exhale, we're going to thread that underneath our right arm. And if it feels good to you, you're going to bring that right ear and right shoulder down to the mat. You can stay here in this beautiful pose. You can come up on your right fingertips, kind of tent them out a little bit. And if you want, you can kickstand that right leg out to the side. It's kind of weird seeing me do yoga on a TV. Yeah. Nice inhale here. And then exhale releases me, unwind back up to beautiful job. We're going to work on a couple of balancing techniques here. So first things first, we're going to take those right fingertips. We're going to bring those, I don't know, a couple of feet in front of us, essentially just where you're getting your right hand straight. Just with that movement, I want you to see if it changed your balance at all. See how so? See if it's causing you to kind of dump down in that left arm at all. See if it causes you to shift weight in your back heels. And make this connection to how in our life, little things can throw us off balance. Not significantly, but just a little bit. Think about the work that we got to do to bring ourselves back. So from here, we're going to come back with those left toes. Extend that left leg straight out behind us. And first, we're going to just rest those toes onto the mat. Again, see what this did to your balance. You know if it changed it? Not necessarily in a bad way, but it just changed it. And see what it takes to get you back to that rebalanced feeling you had initially. Now, based on what your body, what your brain, what your heart needs from you today, options are here to stay here. If you want, you can extend that left leg straight out above you, so you're drawing that left heel up towards the ceiling. And then your option is to extend that, bring that right arm up off the mat. It's almost like there's a line going from your right fingertips to your left toe. So, see how this changed your balance. See if you started to hold your breath at all, which sometimes we do here. See what you need to do to reconnect with that center feeling that you have. And we'll be here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release back to tabletop. We're going to sit back on our knees for a little puppy pose. We're going to extend those arms out in front of us. I want you to roll those wrists out a couple times in each direction. When you are ready, you'll be back in tabletop, but I'll hold here. So same thing, we're going to extend that left arm straight out in front of us, but still keeping those fingertips on the mat. Pay attention to your balance, see if anything changed a little bit, which is okay. We'll extend that right leg behind us, but still pressing those toes into the mat just to start. See where that changed things. See if maybe one side of your body feels a little bit more or less balanced than the other. And if you like, you can extend that left arm straight out in front of you. And then that right leg up behind you, so you're drawing that right heel up towards the ceiling. And breathe. See what you're doing with your breath here. Beautiful work. We'll be here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release back to tabletop. We'll push back to puppy pose again. Give yourself a couple little wrist rolls out here. From here, we're going to come into our first inversion of the day. We're going to come up to downward dog. Tabletop may be a good moderation for you or a good variation. You're certainly welcome to try downward dog. I don't know how that would feel on your ankle.
Oh, I don't know what it is, but
Sure. So you stand tabletop, but you just, as we're moving around, you do what feels good for you and what also feels maybe fun to try. For the down dog, we're going to curl those back toes behind us. We're going to draw those hips up towards the ceiling. Now for me, I always start out with my knees a little bit because, you know, I sit all day for my job. And so that gives me tight hamstrings, and that's absolutely okay. It's not about me comparing myself to anybody else's mat work. It's about just doing what's good for me. We all like to sort of work out our down dog a little differently. Sometimes we like to come up on our toes and give a little crack. Sometimes it's about pedaling out the calves, swaying those hips side to side. First things first, we always want to pay attention to our breath in this pose. It is an inversion, right? Our head's below our heart. And sometimes that causes people to start to hold their breath or take shallow breaths. That will also cause people to pass out if you do that. So reconnect with that slow, even breath. And you do what you need to do to feel grounded into your downward dog or your tabletop pose. In both these poses, our hands are rooted firmly into the mat below us. And downward dog, the shoulders are drawn down your back. There's a nice length in your head and your neck here. Your head's being drawn down towards the mat. Your hips are being pulled towards the upper back corner of the room. Bending your knee here can be a really kind way to treat your hamstrings. If your heels touch the mat, that's great. If not, that is perfectly okay. Nice inhale here. On an exhale from down dog, we're going to draw those hands back to meet our feet for ragdoll. Ragdoll, you can keep your knees as bent as much as you want. I just want you to think about draping your torso on top of your thighs. We're going to do a little standing work here, Mary. So I don't know if it would feel good for you to stand up and kind of meet us here in ragdoll. I don't know if that's possible for your ankle. If not, you stay there too.
I'd probably stay here.
Sure. No problem, no problem. So ragdoll, I want you to think about releasing those hands into the mat. I want you to think about releasing your head down towards the mat. On an inhale, we're going to slowly rise up vertebrae by vertebrae. When you get here, you're going to extend those arms straight up above you. Somebody's looking at me confusing through the door window. You're going to take them down the hall. You're going to take these right fingertips around your left wrist. You're going to draw that left arm up and then over to the right. You can keep your gaze at the front of the room or peek up behind that left armpit, whatever's good for you. Inhale back to center. We'll change those out. So you're going to take those left fingertips around your right wrist. Draw that up and over to the left. Gaze wherever it feels good for your body. Now, lefts and rights are the hardest part about instructing yoga. We're not all that great on a good day. Inhale back to center. And bringing those hands through your heart center, you're just going to slowly roll back down to ragdoll. And then we'll release all the way back out to down dog. Or tabletop. From here, we're going to inhale, come up on our toes, and roll forward to find ourselves in plank position or tabletop position. Take a nice long inhale here. And then on the next exhale, you're going to slowly release yourself all the way down to the mat. Keeping those hands below your shoulders. You're going to roll those shoulders back behind your ears. And on an inhale, you're going to draw your chest up just a little bit off the mat. What's called baby cobra. Exhale back down. Release that forward into the mat. Inhale, slowly push up. Maybe a little bit more than last time. Those elbows are bent behind you. Exhale back down. This last cobra, you go as low or as high as you want to go. Most importantly, is what feels good for you and your lower back. Release back down to the mat. Inhale back up to tabletop. Push back to child's pose. You're going to be here in your child's pose or tabletop for 3 long, deep, reconnecting breaths. And when you've done that, you can be back up and down dog or tabletop, whatever's good for you. I loved what you did earlier about staying down on your knees and you're still able to, you know, kind of engage up here with what we were doing. Did that feel okay on your knees?
Yeah, that was fine.
Good, okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna run through what's called sun salutation A's, and all that stuff can be done just like that. So when we're up on our feet, you can just stay down on your knees, again, as long as it feels good. If it ever starts to become bothersome, a couple options are you can roll your mat underneath it, or just up to it. Okay, cool. Sound good? Okay. So from down dog, or tabletop. We're gonna inhale, come up on the toes. On an exhale, we're gonna bend those knees and slowly walk those feet to the front of our mat, placing our feet between our heels. On an inhale, we're gonna come up to halfway lift. You've got options here. You can rest those hands on your thighs. You can rest them on your shins, all the way on the mat. Just try not to let them dangle in the air. So these are helping support our back. You know, always make some analogies here about the support that we need just to get through our day. On an exhale, we're going to come down to forward fold, so that forehead is drawn down towards our shins. My knees are bent here because that's what my body needs. Other people may not, and I do, and that's absolutely okay. Slowly on an inhale, we'll rise up to extended mountain. Bring those arms up above us, heart open to the front of the head. And exhale slowly back down to forward fold. Beautiful breath work. Inhale, halfway lift. Shine that heart to the front of the room. Exhale, plant those hands, step back to plank or tabletop. Staying in tabletop or pushing back to down. Inhale, come up on the toes. Exhale, bend those knees, step those feet to the front of your mat. Inhale up to halfway lift. Think about that flat back here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up nice and tall on our extended mountain. And exhale, forward fold. Beautiful job, guys. Inhale, halfway lift, shine that heart. Exhale, plant those hands, step back to plank. And push back to down dog or tabletop. So those 2 rounds, we did 1 breath per movement. This time we're going to slow it down even more. We're going to do 2 breaths per movement. So we're going to inhale to the count of 1, 2. Exhale to the count of 1 and 2, bending those knees, stepping forward to the front of your head. Inhale to the count of 1, 2, up to halfway. Exhale, forward fold, drawing that forehead down. Inhale up nice and tall on that extended mountain. A lovely yoga stand. And exhale slowly down to forward fold. Inhale to the count of 2 and a halfway. Exhale, plant those hands to back to plank. And push back to down dog or tabletop. Beautiful job, guys. Great reminder that sometimes we need to slow things down. Sometimes we want to speed things up a little bit. That's what helps us get through those uncomfortable moments. But really slowing things down and breathing through them can be a wonderful lesson. So we'll do that one more time. We'll inhale to the count of 1, 2, up on our toes. Exhale, bend those knees. Step to the front of our mat. Inhale up to a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, draw that forehead in. Inhale up nice and tall to your extended back. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands to back to plank. Pushing back to downward dog or your tabletop. And then we'll drop back down again to child's pose. In your child's pose or tabletop, you're going to take 5 long, deep breaths. Reconnect with that slow, even breath from the beginning of the practice. Also reconnect with whatever intention you set for yourself today. Maybe it's to ignore all outside noise. When you've reconnected with those 5 slow, deep breaths, you're just going to come up to a seated position and moving here. I always like to throw a little bit of an inversion into a class. A couple different reasons. Helps kind of restore the blood flow. It's just a different type of pose, gives us a different little kind of mental perspective on what we're doing. So we're going to do it just a nice legs up in the air. You can do that without a block. For me, I always like to tuck a block underneath my tailbone. I sort of find it kind of supportive and restorative, but you certainly don't have to. If you're ever doing this in a place with clients or whatever, you can also come up to a wall and just have them throw their legs up on the wall, whatever's good for you and kind of the setup. But for me, I'm rolled all the way back down onto my back on the mat. I'm going to take this block, tuck that underneath my tailbone as I simply just extend those legs straight up in front of me. Keeping your feet relaxed here is going to be a little bit more of a yin pose. This is a great version. Keeping your feet flexed here, if you notice that kind of automatically engages your leg muscles here. This is a little bit more of an active pose. There's not one that's better or worse. You just do what's good for you. And most importantly, breathe. This is always a great little kind of meditative pose for folks. It's a great chance, a great time to reconnect with whatever intention folks are working on that day. Where they feel a relationship with grounding is today, where they feel a relationship with balance is today. Here, maybe another 20 seconds. We're thinking about slowly releasing those knees back down into your chest. There's no rush in this pose. Slow as possible. If you've got that block here, you can remove it. We'll give those knees a little hug. From here, you're going to roll over to whichever side you prefer. I want you to sort of pause there and slowly push yourself up to a seated position. You don't necessarily need to jump right up. If you think about it, all our blood is up here. You want to give ourselves a little time to readjust. And then you'll be back up in the seated position when you're ready. We're going to extend those legs straight out in front. On an inhale, we'll inhale those arms up above. Exhale as we come forward. You've got options here. You can grab onto your thighs, your shins. Very flexible. You can come all the way down to those toes. Think about still keeping a little length in your spine as opposed to curling up too much here. It's always a great place for a block. If people are looking for an option to maybe release their head, you can roll your forehead out there. Sometimes playing around with the blocks are a great idea just to kind of see what feels good for your body in terms of variations that day. Inhale back up to straight. Beautiful job. We're going to take the sole of this right foot. We're going to cross that over our left leg. We're going to take the sole of that right foot so it's the outside of our left knee. You've got options here. You can hug your right knee into your chest with that left arm. You can also hook the outside of your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. You're going to bring those right fingertips behind your right hip on an inhale, we'll think about sitting up straight. And then on an exhale, we're gonna think about twisting. So inhale, find some length. Exhale, maybe you're gonna twist just a little bit more. And inhale back to center. We're actually going to walk our hands over to the left and kind of bow over to the left or just a little counter stretch. Inhale back up to straight. So we're going to extend that right leg out in front of us. Taking this left knee, we're going to bend that. That left foot's going to cross our right thigh, so it's to the outside of our right knee. Same options, you can hug that left knee into your chest with your right arm, or you can hook your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Left fingertips are behind that left hip. We'll inhale up straight. Exhale to twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Nice inhale here. Exhale back to center. We'll walk ourselves over to the right, bending down to the floor for a little counter stretch here. Inhale back up to straight. And from here, we're going to come all the way down to our backs. I'm going to cue I'm just going to cue one back bend here. So we're going to practice what's called bridge. So in bridge, we're going to keep those heels pretty close to our glutes, about hip distance apart. Mary, this can be a place that you stay here, depending on how it feels for your ankle. You can also inhale those hips up towards the ceiling. From here, we want to keep those knees and toes pointed towards the front of the room. You've got options here with your hands. You can rest them beside your body. You can roll one shoulder then the other underneath your torso, whatever feels good for you. And most importantly, breathe. This is a place where often folks start to take shallow breaths, so they feel like they can't take a deep breath because their chest is pulled up towards their chin. So there's a little bit more concentration that goes into taking those same full breaths in. Here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're going to release all the way down to the neck. We're going to windshield wiper those knees, so we'll drop them over to the left. Inhale back to straight, drop them over to the right. From here, you're going to bring those knees into your chest, give them a little hug. You're going to drop both those knees over to the left, keeping those arms maybe in a T. Options are to keep your gaze up at the ceiling or over to the right. Inhale back to center. Dropping those knees over to the right this time. Gaze up at the sky or over to the left. Inhale those knees back to center. And this time you're going to wrap your arms up nice and tight around your knees. You're going to draw that forehead up towards your knees. You're going to squeeze up everything you got. Squeeze all your muscles up, even your eyelids. You should take a nice long inhale. And exhale out your mouth as you release out to your Shavasana or corpse pose. So those legs are gently open to the side. Arms are up to the side. Your body's relaxed. Your jaw's relaxed. You have nothing else you have to do here but just be you. And breathe. yourself a minute to move on and stretch. And from here, you'll roll over to whichever side you prefer. And then pause there. Maybe cradle your head in your arm. I want you to think back to that intention you set at the beginning of class today. And think about how you can take that intention with you for the rest of your day. And then most importantly, give yourself gratitude for the self-care that you practiced today, for the self-awareness you practiced today, and how much of a gift that is to you. And when you're ready, you'll push up to a seated position and meet me at the front of your mat. So we often end our class with a collective namaste, and namaste has a different interpretation for a lot of people, but for me it means the light in me sees the light in you, the soul in me sees the soul in you. So I'm very grateful for your company this afternoon. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.